Welcome to the Big Cat Lounge podcast, where we interview guests in a casual lounge setting from all over the world, sharing their insights one story at a time. We can be found on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, iHeartRadio, and much more. Please rate and subscribe to our show to stay updated on the Big Cat Lounge. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Big Cat KZ, and today's guest comes from Hollywood, Florida. She's the co-writer of Keep Going, a book collaboration of 8 women who share their memoirs on strength, courage, and perseverance. Her daily goal is to dissolve the space between us as we create common ground and more reasons to see the good in each other. From stage performances at the highly acclaimed LA Opera House to appearances on TV films such as Big Love and The Ugly Truth, to being sleepless, restless, lost, and found in the city, we can say she has a good sense of who she is. We welcome Sabrina Diaz to the Big Cat Lounge podcast.
Hi, Kyle. Thank you guys so much for having me on this show, on this platform. I'm truly grateful and really excited to chat with you today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started with this writing?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I started off in Miami, Florida, which is where I was born. And I started off in the beauty pageant world. My mom's like, I'm a twin. I've got a twin. And she's like, all right, these girls are perfect. We've got to get them into pageants. So my sister was a little hesitant and she's like, yeah, that's not for me at all. And I'm like, wait, I actually think this is for me, so I started auditioning and I got myself into a beauty pageant called Dolls 2000, which was an awesome experience. I was very young. I was just kind of astonished by everything, by the glitz and glamour, by the confidence that I had to find within myself to be able to perform. I always feel like the path or what you're meant to be doing in this world chooses you. And clearly I was receptive. I was like, all right, let's start doing pageants. And I did. It was awesome. And then I started doing some modeling and I was the spokesmodel for a lot of brands locally and nationwide. And, just started discovering a lot about myself, a lot about my strengths, a lot about my weaknesses. I feel that now as I'm older, I feel like I'm a lot more self-conscious of myself. Whereas before, I feel like I was a lot more carefree and went into a little bit more, just enjoying of the process. So does that resonate? Do you know what I mean by that?
I think over time, I guess maybe your thought process changed, or you might have shifted with other people's perceptions. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I enjoy the process so much more. And so I started off, with the modeling, the acting here in Florida. I ended up going to Bogota, Colombia, which is in South America. I've got family there. It was an impromptu trip. I went to go visit my family. And my other aunt is like, hey, I signed you up for a beauty pageant. I'm like, okay, I guess my parents think I should be, or my family think I should be in beauty pageants. And I'm like, all right, let's go to the audition. So anyhow, I went to the audition and I got selected to represent Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia. Okay. And I got cast as one of the 8 girls to be on this TV series all about beauty pageants and living with each other in a hotel and getting all sorts of training, photography training, interviewing training, training on like our diets and how we saw ourselves, all the kind of training you could imagine. Wow. And I was actually pretty surprised with myself of how I had the ability to kind of go with the flow at that point. And I ended up being selected, and I'm like, holy cow, like I'm in it, like there's no way out now. And the experience, while that was on a much larger scale than anything else I had ever done, it was everything I could have ever imagined, and then not so much. Because I noticed a lot of hypocrisy. I noticed a lot of judgment. I noticed a lot of just they saw girls as subjects to represent beauty, but like how much, what was the worth of that beauty? What's that beauty gonna do for us, for other people, for our purpose here in the world? And that's when I started looking deeper. I'm like, okay, this is all right. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be doing this, because it is exciting. And I got so many wonderful experiences because of it. And so thankful for the pageant leadership and the mom chaperone, everybody involved. So thankful. And but more than anything, I just, it was a chance for me to go within and start analyzing, or start feeling, and just start observing who I was becoming, who I was, and who I wanted to become. So this is where the plot twist happens. All right. I finished the beauty pageant. I lived my experience. I got to be on TV, got to work with some awesome people. And then I came back and I'm like, all right, I'm going to conquer the world. I'm beautiful. I'm young. I am intelligent. I've got the world at my feet. And this is where keep going comes into place. I finished that beauty pageant. I come back to Florida, and I thought to myself, right, this is the opportunity for me to make it to Hollywood, California. So we're talking from Hollywood, Florida now. And my path was, all right, we're going to make it to LA and pursue acting and go into this industry even deeper. So the plot twist happens when I experience by far the most, till this moment, one of the most impactful, hurtful, transformational experiences of my life, which was I started to develop a skin condition that I absolutely had no control over. My face just started breaking out and breaking out and breaking out of nowhere. And it was terrible. I was trying to understand what was going on. At first, I was like, all right, it's a phase, it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
Just got to drink some water, you know?
Mhm.
And little did I know, water wasn't gonna be enough, healthy eating wasn't gonna be enough, becoming a pescatarian wasn't gonna be enough. Like nothing was healing me. If anything, my skin only got more irritated, more red. The lesions got worse. The bumps got worse. And that just started triggering me in all sorts of ways. I started to just kind of lose myself with everything that I thought was myself. And I was like, all right, let's put on a little bit more makeup. Let's try to cover up. Let's try to, to talk to somebody. But people didn't really understand, because they thought, okay, don't worry, just don't think about it. It's going to go away. But the fact was that not 1 year, not 2 years, 5 years deep, like this still wasn't going away. And I'm like, all right, is this just, I'm going to have to live like this?
Mhm.
And the truth is, yeah, I did. I did just have to live like that. But I wasn't, for a big part of my life, it did take me to my knees, where I'm like, okay, what's the point of this? What's the point of just I was given all this beauty, and for what? When I mean beauty, I mean physical beauty. That was my what I was told as a
Yeah.
little girl, like,
Yeah.
oh, this girl's going to be the future Miss America. It's what they told my mom when I was a baby girl. So there was so much pressure on that my worth came from beauty. And for a really big part of my life, it really did come from beauty. I felt special. I felt, like the golden child. Like, yes, I deserve all this because I'm beautiful. And that experience, the skin disorder, emotional disorder, I believe it was a combination of everything. Emotions being the biggest trigger to lead to the skin disorder. It really started, I started resenting myself, and I started resenting the industry. I started resenting the superficiality, and not just resenting it, but seeing that it was being highlighted everywhere. Like a woman's worth is just all about how she looks, and it was everywhere. Back then social media wasn't such a big deal as it is now, but it was just like within the conversations of your own family, just on TV, the radio. I'm like, God, like we're so much more than this, and the I started opening up, and I started to write. And that was one of my ways to really like unravel that real part of myself that today I am so proud of. And today I stand for so much. Like, I found my real worth. I found that place where
Mhm.
that I want all people to find.
Mhm.
Truly, I really want all people to find, because I feel like we live in a time where everybody is so confused, and people feel like they're in this constant competition. Everybody feels broken, and relationships aren't working. A lot of it is a huge facade, people. And I see straight through myself just as much as I see straight through people. And if I'm on here today, it's because I know the urgency of really where I feel our perception has to change, and where our self-worth and where society is placing worth on people, and not just for women, but for men as well. For men, for women, for us as human beings. And I think that, we've seen some progress, and I want to see more of it. And it's why I'm an ambassador of real self-worth and real love, and that opportunity to give others a place to really say and talk about their experience. So thank you so much for this.
Oh no, thank you so much for sharing. It must have been extremely difficult for you to, actually get your story and document it onto paper, because it's been something that's been resonating with you your entire life, but to actually capture it and share it with the world must have been extremely difficult. But the fact that you were able to do that was a big sign of relief, I'm sure. And now just to expand your reach is incredible, so others can hear exactly what went on, and they can reflect.
Yeah, I mean, I feel talking about it makes me feel so much better. And when I tapped into writing, I discovered the best part of myself, the most authentic part of myself, that didn't rely on how I looked, on whether I had makeup or not. It didn't rely on just anything that had to do with my physical aspect, but it relied wholeheartedly on just on what I was feeling and what I was allowing to say to myself, not the concealed version, but the real, the raw and unfiltered version, which I freaking love. I mean, that really gets me going. And I think that when we can live from that space, I think it's the most liberating, and it's the most fulfilled, and it's amazing. It's a different experience. So I do think writing is, I would say it really saved me in many ways. It helped me identify things about myself I possibly would have never identified otherwise. And you see, the skin issue was what was happening. There was no way around it. I couldn't hide. I couldn't, you know, stay in my bed all day and cry and not want to leave the house, because there were days where I did not want to leave the house, and I preferred to stay home and hide myself. And that happened for some time. And I thought, like, this is no way to live. I don't wish this upon anyone. But this was the experience I was given, right? That's part of my story. I had to live this terrible skin condition, which really broke me internally. However, I found my way back. And I found my way in the most honest way I could ever find myself. And that's listening to my heart. And that's listening to God, which, my best friend. God is my best friend. And really developing that spiritual connection with myself and with God and everything around me, and nature and animals. That really helped me take life and my experience in life to the next level. So I encourage faith. I think it's big to the quality of our days and the quality of our thoughts. And I really want to keep on motivating people to seek that honest contact with whatever their faith is, whatever that means to anybody. We were created and we do wonderful things on this earth, and we were created by a higher force. So I think it is important to pay respect and to really acknowledge that everything we get, everything we are, even our experiences, it all comes from, that source of creation. And in my case, it's God. And at one point I was super pissed off at God. Let me not get you wrong, because I'm like, don't get, like, I was like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, will put blame on God at sometimes, and then also say, like, we'll praise him at other times. It's just finding that balance and knowing that he's always there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at one point I'm like, gosh, I'm so pissed. I'm like, why am I going through this? And then I'm like, all right, Sabrina, I know you may have had or have been a person to have had perfectionist tendencies, but you're gonna have to learn how to let go, and you're gonna have to accept this moment while still doing your best to not ask yourself why it's happening, but more than anything, what the sole purpose is. So not that it's happening to me, but that it's happening for me, for my growth. And it has helped me as much as back then, or when it was happening initially, I couldn't see that. I was so triggered and so upset and so, trying to move within the emotions and the pain. And within all that, I still had to, go to castings in LA. Anyhow, after the pageant, I moved to LA. I ended up doing that, got myself an agent, and I was going to auditions and I was performing, but I was so self-conscious when I went into the audition rooms, because I thought, what are they looking at? Are they looking at my face? Are they actually paying attention to how I'm feeling out the character or expressing the text of this character, or are they just blatantly staring at the facial
Yeah.
wounds
Yeah.
that are completely exposed and unable to hide, no matter how much makeup you have on, especially with the beaming lights, it's inevitable. So it was such a conflict. I was like, God, help me transmit the most honesty. But I feel like a lot of the times I may have screwed up because I wasn't allowing what I'm allowing right now with you.
Yeah, just being transparent and open. And I think
Yeah.
now more so than ever, a lot of people are having to do that, just because we're in a pandemic. So being able to collaborate and network is so important. And just like right now, like just being able to talk and record this podcast, it's through LinkedIn that we were able to meet, just one platform, but just like that, we were able to connect and collaborate.
Yes. And from one platform to another, this is why, social media has its pros, not just its cons. And we're here. And I thank you for exalting that and giving me the opportunity, because we can show that social media can be used for good. And
it's really can.
Yeah. It's really important to have more continuous platforms like this, and for us to be speaking our truth. I feel like we get more courageous with time, or I do think the times are changing, where everybody's like developing some more courage, and I like that.
Yeah, it's really good. Because I've always thought about doing a podcast, but then it's just taking that next leap and actually doing it and executing is another story. But I ended up making the time and set aside, and every week we publish a new episode so that our community can continue to learn and knowledge share, because I think it's so important just to have a community where there's resources and everyone has similar mindsets of just willing to share information, because I think we shouldn't have all these barriers, and a lot of the information we get, you have to seek it out, but it should just be readily available and should be transparent and open and comes from the source.
Definitely. And I'll share something with you. So I had a teacher, mentor, rabbi who told me a couple years back, he told me something that stayed with me. And this is what he told me. He told me, in life, people are born with one of the three gifts: beauty, money, or intelligence. And usually most people have one of the three. Some people, based on their soul experience, get three of the three, but for the most part, it's one of the three, right? And to support your comment on you creating this podcast, I mention this because it's what we do with what we're given that makes all the difference. Just like you created this podcast, you are doing something with your talent that is ultimately impacting and creating a difference in one person's world or a multitude of people's worlds. The quantity doesn't matter. What matters is the effort into knowing that one person can make a difference. And when my rabbi, when he told me this, that resonated with me. And I actually had the chance to share that and keep going in the book collaboration. It stayed with me so much, because I thought, wow, this is so true. We're all given, this gift. In this case, I believe I was blessed in many ways, just physically proportioned or beautiful or aesthetically pleasing, however you want to call it. That's a gift from God. And why I want to take this to the next level, why my writing is so important, why I'm really focusing on talking to groups of people to help elevate consciousness and to help elevate our communities into seeing that, yes, self-worth is, it's not something you buy, it's not something you get at CVS for $9.99. It's not something you can get with plastic surgery, or doesn't matter the amount of money you have. If you're driving a Ferrari, I'm sure you get my drift.
Yeah.
Whether you're a man or a woman, your self-worth does not come from what you own or from what you look like. So I want to reiterate wholeheartedly, with all of the love in my heart and the experiences that I've been through, to really help people understand that it comes from the God-given, your God-given birthright. And it's who you are. It's all of who you are. And that is, you know, the organized you or the disorganized you, the beautiful you or the maybe, you know, not so beautiful you, because you're acting crazy and you're emotional, but that's okay. So that identifying that, I think, is key. Our self-worth comes from the relationship that we have with ourselves, and that comes from the relationship that we have from God. And those are the true most important connections, because even the connections that we have with our families, our friends, those could even be subject to change. Sometimes we can not have the best relationships with our families, or they can judge on their own. But God, that connection with God, with faith, that will never judge you. That kind of love and energy will only support you and only want the best for you, and really see you for what you're worth. So this is the most important part of this conversation that we're having today. I have,
Yeah.
I hope people out there are listening and paying attention, that their worth is not bought, and it's also got nothing to do with how they look. While it's important to be healthy, of course, and make healthy choices, it's really about that one-on-one with ourselves, that we can only attain from that one-on-one with our faith and God, and definitely the nature and beauty around us, which is real. That is real. That's never going to morph. It morphs on its own, but that's always consistent and solid and non-judgmental. As as people, we can, there can be different sides to people.
They really can.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about the lighthousekeeper.blog. If you could elaborate on your vision as to what you plan on doing with this website.
Okay, so I am thrilled. The pandemic actually helped me look within on even a further level, and I removed myself from social media to really, identify what my brand was, and to really identify, okay, what I'm going to do with my message and take my writing to the next level and get it out even more on a larger platform. And I'm like, all right, it's time, Sabrina. I have these monologues, or with myself, so talking to myself all the time, and I'm like, yep. Yeah. You can relate, but yeah, I do it often. And I decided that it was time to create a page where people can go to. And in this case, with the help of my lovely God that I love so much, were able to come up with the lighthousekeeper.blog, which is a page where I'm going to invite all people of all ages, anybody who wants to join, to follow me on personal stories. I'm going to be sharing my own personal stories, stories of personal growth. I'm going to be sharing a lot of song lyrics and a lot of my personal journey to help others find that real, authentic love for themselves and for their experience, you know, without shame or without guilt, but more of a soft embrace. I feel, and this is why it's called the lighthouse keeper, because I have had to find my own light within me to keep a lighthouse within myself, to keep a lighthouse within my day to day, to keep a lighthouse within my own home, within my own relationships, to keep a lighthouse within my own career and that relationship that we have, to keep that light space where we can be kind to ourselves, kind to the work that we're doing and that the work that we're putting out there, kind to the people around us. And I'm still working on it. You know, I'm still working on doing my best to work from that light space every single day. I believe I do it a lot more consistently. I've had to learn, and I believe we learn as we go. And I'm here in this space and time being able to share this information because I've lived through experiences that have shooken me from, really from the root of who I am. So any stories, any words I share with people, it really is with full consciousness that I want the best for myself as much as I want the best for everybody around me. And honestly, the entire world. I really think on a global level. I think about everything that's going on in other countries. I think about governments. I think about, and I think about myself and how I govern myself and how I will govern the lighthouse keeper is through a space of integrity, a space of loyalty, a space of trust, and a space of love. And I want that space. I want to give people that space to truly share who they are and who they want to become by letting go of all the BS that no longer serves us. And that's what the lighthousekeeper.blog is. And I'll be sharing that with you as soon as it's up and running. It's currently in development. And I'm excited. I'm so excited for this journey. I've got full autonomy over this. And I love that. I love that so much.
Oh, we're excited to follow you and just see what's next. Everything that you were just telling us really resonates with our community. This brings us to our quote segment. I think it's along the lines of what you were just saying. When you were made a leader, you weren't given a crown. You were given the responsibility to bring out the best in others. And this comes from Jack Welch. So it's very, very similar, yeah.
Amen. Thank you so much.
And I guess what would be some advice you'd give your 18-year-old self if you could go back today, now that you have all this insight and extra wisdom?
Yeah. Well, I want to dedicate this podcast to John Katsopoulos. He is my boyfriend's uncle. He actually passed away a couple of days ago. And he told me one thing before his passing, and that just, it stuck with me and it resonated. And he told me, I liked the way, keep on dancing. I love the dance. You did good. So if there was one thing I could tell my 18-year-old self is, you did good, kid. Keep on dancing. Keep on dancing, you guys. Like, just whether you make a mistake or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're actually doing it and that you're giving yourself the opportunity to be who you are. And if who you are isn't hurting anybody, if who you are is bold, and if who you are is kind, and if who you are is full of love and light, share it and live it and express it.
and give it your all, because you just never know when it's going to be your last day. And life is such a blessing, and I want to say it like the Greeks: keep on dancing, keep the dance. So that's, yeah, I'll tell everybody to keep the dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to tell the Big Cat Lounge community?
Well, Big Cat Lounge, you guys are awesome. Kyle, you're wonderful. I thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to future collaborations. Really sending you guys all my love, and you have my support. Come to Florida soon.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, yeah, we'll have to make it down. It's only a couple of states down for us, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. And if we want to follow your journey, where should we look? Any type of
Okay.
links?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Sabrina Diaz 007. So that's Sabrina Diaz 007. That's my handle on Instagram. And then soon to be www.thelighthousekeeper.blog.
Today's sponsor is Anchor FM app. Go download the free Anchor app today to get started. You can find it at your Play Store or App Store. It's everything you need to make a podcast, and it distributes everything for you so it can be heard on multiple platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more. This is what I'm currently using right now to edit and record my podcast, and you can do so from your phone or computer. And the tools are really easy to use to help document the Big Cat Lounge journey. So what are you waiting for? Go today and download it. We are accepting applications if you think you have what it takes to be a big cat and be a guest on the show. Email us at bigcatlounge@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Hope to see you soon.